That's the
Okay.
first poem in the
Yes.
book. It's called Biafra. Is a restless God. Can you explain what you were saying there? Because it was detailed and when it was long, but I felt he has gone through a lot of a transition. How Gowon changed the light of Biafra into. Give us the story of
Okay. So there are many, of course, in Nigeria. By the time you come to my age, you are 60, right? You are older than maybe 80% of everybody alive in Nigeria because of our youthful population at the minimum. Now, many people don't realize that if you look at the Nigerian map, the body of water under that, the bulge of West Africa, that that is close to the eastern Nigeria, is called Bight of Bonny. But when I was growing up and went to school, that if you look at old maps, what is called Bight of Bonny was called Bight of Biafra. Now, so once you get that, so that's where the name Biafra came, so on the Igbo one. It was named, the republic was named after the body of water, just like people name Ogun State after either Ogun, the river, or their god. So it was named after Bight of Biafra. So that is the first thing to know. That's where the name comes from. It was an Igbo word. The question is, where did that word Biafra come from? It was given, that name was given, if you have old map, you can see it was Bight of Biafra. That name was given by the Portuguese, just like the way they named Lagos after Lagoon. So according to the Ijaw oral tradition, and the name there's that, they came to the Ijaws, the Calabaris, who were living around that place. Where the Calabaris are today is not exactly where they are 400 years ago. They are closer to the ocean, to where present-day Bonny is. So the body of what I call Bight of Biafra is a turbulent water, wind effect or so. So the locals experience a lot of boat capsize. A boat will capsize and they will lose people, right? So it had this reputation of a dangerous spot of the river. So they then mythologize or believe that that part of the river is troublesome and we're having losses there because there is a god that lives at the bottom of the river. And that God is always cooking. And therefore, once he needs human meat, just like when we constantly hunt for fish or animal to put in our soup, that God was always hunting for human beings to make meat. He's a king, he has to satisfy his guests, and therefore he takes human beings at his meat. Right? So because it was occurring often, they now say Biafra. So Fulo, Fulo, in Calabari, Ijaw means soup. The soup they used to eat about is soup. Bia, B-I-A, means undone, not yet done. So they felt that they named that God that his soup is always undone. So his soup is Bia Flo, is always undone. And so when the Portuguese asked them, what do you call this place? They said Biafra. The Portuguese mispronounced it to be Biafra. You see the B-I-A is still there, but the Flo, they pronounce it Fro. So Flo. So that's how the name came in. Now to give you a historical example and the way Ijaw named, most of the water bodies in Ijaw land are named after gods. Like my local government is called Akukutoro local government. So the river called Sombrairo River in our local language is called Akukutoro. But Akuku is a god. Toru is river. So it's the god. So the river is named after a god. So all the water bodies, because Ijaw has some kind of tripartite, depending on how you can, you have the spirit in the land and the spirit of the water, and there's whole wall under the river with cities and street lights and everything. So there are people living there, and therefore they own the water body. So he named after them. But this issue of Europeans mispronouncing Ijaw names and forcing that on the people is also common. Like there's a town in Biafra called Brass. The people didn't call themselves Brass, they called themselves Tuon. When the Portuguese, this was British, when they arrived at the coast, they now got out of their boat and they grabbed people by their hand. Say, what is the name of this town? Look at the insolence. You are speaking your language, you expect that they will understand it. They grab them by the hand. Say, what is the name of this town? And the people will say, let go of my hand. And in Nembe dialect of Ijaw, it means Brasien. Let go of my hand. Brasien. Brasien. They reach the second person. What is the name of your town? They will do the same thing, grab them by the hand. What is it? And they say, Brasien. So now the white men thought, oh, they're answering our question, and their name is Brass. My town is called Abonima. It was named wrongly called. We call ourselves Inye Money. They were mispronouncing the town next to us, Obonima, and they say we are Bonima. So when people don't understand this kind of historical stuff, right? But the fun that I was having with the poem is that the poem says the God that is there is difficult to satisfy him. Now, in the typical African sense of religiosity, spirituality, I was playing with that, right? Now you took that name and you named it to a new republic, Ojuku, and according to some story, when they were having the meetings when they were looking for names in the meeting, according to some version of that meeting that they had, it was an Ijaw man. They were looking for other names, other Igbo social names. There was an Ijaw man that says, why are we looking for a name? Name the bite of Biafra, because the water Biafra, kind of is underneath eastern Nigeria. So everybody know it will look any ethnic or Igbo or so. So that's one reason they picked that name, according to some version of the story. I've not seen an official account for it, but I've heard that version. Right? So now the Jaws have a god that they felt was a restless god that was always consuming human beings. So restless is a part of it. Now he took that god. By the time Ojuku came to be the chief high priest of that god, now it has become a land god. From sea, it has become a land god. But the restlessness is still there. So it's I want to point people to that as a play, poetic play to say, we have not still handled the restlessness of Nigeria. The soul of Biafra or Biafra has not laid to rest. So that's why you have Nnamdi Kanu. The question is, how do we as a country come to deal with this soul of what Biafra represents, of what Biafra represents? Because remember, whether the people knew actually there was a god under the river and there was cooking is not the point. They were expressing a particular form of trauma. They're losing their children, their wealth to drowning or so. But they named it that to recognize their pain, what they were dealing with. In today's, so Biafra too represents a pain and a trauma that we've not come to master or to control or to govern well. And I wanted people to see the two stories in that sense of continuity. And that there are cases where there is more that join us than separate us. Most people, even the very name that today young Igbo men and women are fighting over, willing to die, was actually an Ijaw stuff. And Ijaws and Igbos has been neighbors, and we've been trading, connecting a long time. So that story also speaks to the fact that these are communities that have been in contact, trading, and doing well for a very long time.